Record. Okay, there we go. Well, I just wanted to officially welcome my friends and sisters in the Lord and friendships that are special to me, all three of you right now. I wanted to introduce specifically, because I'm staying at her home, Diana Foster. And Diana and I have been friends for over 30 years. We've raised children in different locations, but because we connected when we were young moms, we continued our stories. And so we've always been a part of each other's life and the value of that. And when I came back to Colorado for the adventure of Bible College, I had the opportunity to visit Diana, and she had just started a new season. And I'm going to just let her briefly share initially what her career was and what this new season was when I came back to be with her. And we're just going to share a little bit how it's growing and morphing, just like all of our seasons do, and just give you a little inspiration about who she is and what she's done. So Diana.
Well, okay, here we go. So I am and
Can't hear you.
oh, you can't?
No, you kind of just went out.
Okay. I'm a mother of two, and I've been married for 43 years, and we've lived in Kansas 30 years, but I grew up in Iowa and also have roots in Nebraska. So we're Midwesterners. And so I chose to be a special educator. So I did that for 25 years as a career. I taught really severe children with very pretty significant disabilities, autism, Down syndrome, a lot of mental cognitive delays. And I loved it. But at 50, I was just like, when you're done, and when you're tired. And so I decided to retire with the blessing of my husband, and retire from teaching, but not retire. And I have always had photography as a hobby, and a pretty serious hobby, and really loved it. Enough that in high school we had a huge mass media program, and learned we took our own photos. She somehow found money to buy us really nice cameras that the school had. We had a dark room, and it was great. So I've continued that as something I love, and always did art on the side from being an educator. So I decided I wanted to launch a photography business. I had been making greeting cards with paper and rubber stamps and beautiful things for many years. So I kind of knew about card making world, and what size envelopes you use for different size cards and all that. But I wanted to make cards with my original photography. So I did do that. But my business was multifold, and I do portraits for people, family photos, and families, children, seniors, babies, kids, headshots, all that.
I'm gonna interrupt her for a minute, because we're in her studio. So a picture paints 1,000 words.
Yes.
So I'm gonna have her give you a quick little view of her studio here. And she just finished a holiday kind of boutique, but also an opportunity, because her card store isn't online and it's not in the stores, it's in her home. So as you come into her world, would you like to give us a little tour?
Sure. So this is some nice chairs that clients could sit in, and we could discuss their photo shoot. You can see a lot of cards. You see a lot of pictures on the wall. This is my gallery of work. Here is showing a bunch of Christmas products and pictures and that kind of thing. I make cards. As my grandson said, "This is cool, Nana," because it's a card rounder like you would see in a Hallmark store. And I have certain things like flowers that I love to take. And of course, all my clients are women, so they also love flowers. These are the Kansas sunflowers. There's products and pictures and cards and mugs, which is super fun. And then this wall is clients that I've taken, families, engagement, maternity, that kind of thing. And then these are all different sizes of cards, like for mom, for dad, thank you, thinking of you. that kind of thing. And a lot of birthday cards over here. And then I sell sets of cards that are gift sets that people can buy and give to other people with cards in a set, usually some kind of theme: get well, thinking of you, sunflowers, tulips, something like that. So that's kind of a, little snippet view of the studio.
Right. So that was kind of fun. I hope my camera showed enough for you guys to grasp that. And so I wanted her to share this because she's been perfecting this skill for quite a time. But when I came in and she said to me, "Jenny, you've got to see what the Lord is bringing her to do in this next season." And this transition time that we all do in our lives, they're beautiful seasons. And then there are times when it morphs into something more. And so this part, as all of us women, we're heading into another season. Even in the decades, each decade has kind of a priority, and there's things that we begin to realize are really key things that we want either to be remembered by, or that we also want to make sure we plant enough in our lives that it becomes a baton, in a sense, that we can hand to someone else, whether it's family or whether it's other people in our lives. But there's a piece of being intentional about doing that. And that's what Diana has done with a project she calls the Weathered Tree. So I'm going to let her share a little bit about the Weathered Tree.
All right.
All right, hold on.
All.
Okay, did it say? Okay, so here's Diana sharing kind of something, and I just want you to be thinking about it because there's something impactful for all of us, and maybe a little gold nugget for you, whether it's the gold nuggets that she got or whether it's the Lord will prompt you with something. And so
there's some other people that were waiting.
Let me
to get
see
in.
if
I
there's-
thought so. It said admit all. So I
Okay.
wondered if
hold on 2 seconds. We'll get everybody in here if there's some more.
admit all. Maybe that was every
Room. Okay. Welcome. All right, I am just to catch you up, Deborah, to let you know, this is my friend. Hi. This is my friend Diana.
Can you hear
and
me?
She is. Yes.
Hey, my computer decided it needed to update. So, great
course.
timing, right?
Of course, you did. Yeah. I wanted to share with you my friend Diana here in Kansas City, Kansas.
Hi, Diana.
Yes, she has started some different projects in her life and is in the beginning of transitioning from one awesomeness thing, which into something new that I think would speak to all of our hearts. And it's called the Weathered Tree. And I just think you'll enjoy hearing the direction that's going on in her life. So I'm going to ask Diana. So,
all right.
Where did this dream come from? And did it start with a photograph, or did it start in your mind and you found a photograph?
No, it really started with old black and white photographs from growing up. And I've always loved everything old. And I wanted to do a family history project that wasn't just a genealogy book with only words and saying so-and-so's the daughter of so-and-so's the daughter of, and you just lose interest. So it's really a photojournalistic way to look at all my old family photos and family stories. So I've called it the Weathered Tree because I think that most family trees are weathered, not just mine. Yeah, I'm pretty sure of it. And so the project started about 11 years ago. It started way farther back than that, just loving old things and vintage things from my grandma and that kind of thing. And not all people love that. Not all my siblings love that, or collecting things that mean something, like great grandma's pocket watch and how she wore it, or why women had pocket watches. I learned that men had pocket watches, but women had pocket watches too. I didn't know that. And the women's pocket watches were smaller. So I did a lot of research on that because I had my grandma's pocket watch. And then because I'm a photographer, Deborah, just to catch you up, I was a special educator for 25 years. I have my master's in special education, and I love people. I really love children. But I quit at 50 and launched a photography business. And so doing my weathered tree project is really cool because I have the photography skills to photograph that old watch from my grandma in a beautiful setting with flowers and laces and things that would look like a great grandma from late 1900 or late 1800. So having said that, the process that I went through is probably for quite a few years, even farther back than 11 years ago when I started my business. Every time I would go to my mother-in-law, and my parents are divorced, so I would find a few pictures at my dad's, but for the most part, my mom kept most of the pictures. I would ask if I could scan them. I bought a mobile scanner and even a few new things I haven't told you that ran on battery, because I would not feel right taking any pictures from my husband's family because I'm a daughter-in-law and they have children, and the girls might say, well, Diana took all mom's pictures. So I just scanned them with my mother-in-law's approval. And so once I found, and it took many, many trips because, old pictures are in shoe boxes and they're tucked under. And then she would say, guess what? I found another box of photos. I know. So I would bring my mobile scanner and scan them. So I was basically digitizing old Kodak pictures from the 50s and making them digital. Well, then I had to take classes and learn how to use Photoshop. So I could restore some of those pictures that had folds in them. And I got brave and figured out how to do that and make them a little clearer and a little bit more sharp than they were, because some of those photos weren't that great of photos, just quality wise. The content of the photo was magic, but not so much the look of them. So
I'm going to stop her for 1 second because she said a major keyword, and it was, she may have of her mantra, and there was a piece in there, and she used the word brave. And so this is a jumping off spot that I want us all to realize, that when we think somebody is so qualified because she's had some background in photography, but we choose to step into areas that really you don't know what you're doing. And so I just even this journey of being brave, something that I want us all to remember, as everyone has to do that.
Right, exactly. So once I got them digitized, I knew that I also wanted to write the stories that went with the photos. So I, in a sense, without calling it an interview, because my mother and mother-in-law would have been nervous if they thought they were being interviewed.
Right.
So I had a lot of conversations. I would bring photos and say, Mavis, who is this? Who's in the photo? And where were you? And what were you doing? And how did you and Lynn meet? And things like that. So I could start making notes about what was going on, especially my husband's family. I didn't know as much about as my own, but even interviewing, I was shocked interviewing my own mother and father, how much I learned. And it was usually something really fun, like playful, because all of a sudden they went back to being a teenager and dating and different things. So that was fun. And then I also became more equipped to make these beautiful art projects with those by growing in the area of digital art and taking Photoshop and learning how to edit the photos of the portraits I was taking, and people were hiring me for family photos. So I've created a lot of art with what's going on in these photos and what they mean to me. And they might have text on them telling who is in the photo. So you don't just look at the photo and go, well, this is great. Mom says this is somebody in her family, but I don't know who it is or when it was taken or why it was important to her. So I'm now in the process of writing a lot of those little vignette, little snippet stories that are, 1 or 2 paragraphs about something, maybe about this particular picture, this event, or something that was very significant, that I have a really cool picture as well as a piece of art. I chose to just do everything as an 8.5 by 11 because it could print in a digital book, and an 8 by 10 is smaller. Digital books are 8.5 by 11s. In general. And so most of those pages would be able to order a book and design it and be printed in a digital format. I do have something to read that I wrote that Jenny said this would be wonderful. It's not my quote, but I've written a lot of it are my own words, but I've also found some quotes that are like, I couldn't write this any better. This is so perfect. So it's about being the keeper of the family heirlooms and memories and stories. And so it goes like this. It's pretty short. You are the keeper of your family memories. You probably remember your own grandparents telling you stories of their childhood, their struggles, triumphs, and what it was like growing up back then. And you loved it all. Well, now it's your turn. Connect the past with the present by creating your story. And so that's one little thing about being the keeper of the family stuff. And the stuff is treasured. It's old photos, and and the photos all have memories, and they all have stories assigned to the photos.
I was going to interject here. So, and many of us, our parents aren't around anymore.
Mhm.
Around us. So friendship as well. And the journeys that we take
You're breaking up, Jenny.
are still part of our shape. All right, let's see. Okay, so was Diana breaking up too?
No.
No. Okay. So I'm all right.
Might have been touching.
Oh, I might have been
Maybe.
touching something.
I'm not sure.
Okay. So I wanted to encourage us to think in all directions in what she's sharing, because some of us are in different stages with our family, but we're also the keepers of our memories and the keepers of our stories that involved all of the connected people in our lives.
Friends, family,
Exactly.
spouses, whoever.
Exactly. But, and one of the unique things, I think that often when people get either stuck and when they want to write a memoir, and yes, they're wonderful to have, all totally written, but the unique thing, and I wanted to really, as with Diana's specialty, is that when we use photography, we use quotes and we use things to inspire us to continue stories, that we can actually engage our family members, and in future generations or future relationships, they're going to engage into this process so much differently. And the goal not being that we write it and have somebody then the next generation or the next friendship throw it away, that this becomes part of a learning tree, in a sense, this weathered tree that she said, that the goods, the bads, and the uglies, in a sense, that actually bring the character and the importance to our story that we can pass on.
Well, one of the things that Jenny asked me today, and a lot of people ask me, what will this final product look like? And I think I didn't really know, and I still don't know. I feel like now, 11 years later, working on this, it's a lot of different things. It's not going to be one thing, like a spiral book with the stories in it and a slideshow with the pictures or something. I think it's going to be a lot of things, like maybe my son, Rob, I will have certain things for him, whether it's a book about being a musician and his journey on that. So I can say I definitely didn't know at the beginning, and I know now that it's going to be something way cooler than I expected at the beginning, or a lot of some things. But I've also realized this may not just be a gift I give to my 2 sons and grandsons, and I might have more grandchildren or all that, but that it could be things, part of this might be things that other women would be interested in, some of the stories. And I'm going to read you one at the end when we're done, one of my real short stories. It's just a couple paragraphs, but that maybe this becomes a presentation to other women about my project, why the importance of it, why it could be important for you to do something similar. So maybe the audience has broadened to more than just my siblings and my offspring and that kind of thing. But I have already created a number of digital books. And luckily I've become pretty techie. I was pretty technologically savvy being a teacher, you have to learn things that you wouldn't have learned just being at home. But even more so with being a photographer and having to learn the digital world and take classes and get better at doing adding text to a photo and things like that. But it's been a labor of love for sure, a really cool project, and I'm super excited about it. And it's been quite therapeutic as well to look at old photos of my parents and ask them questions about it, and to let things go that you need to let go of, and to embrace other things. And so, or writing a story that maybe was a hard story, a very hard story to go through, but now it's out, it's on paper, and it's done. And so there have been some very many hidden gifts in doing this project that I didn't expect. And I'm so happy I did not hurry through this and say, this is going to be done in a year. I give it a year and it's done, because it's morphed into something way more beautiful, way more revealing in many good ways about things that I've learned about my parents. You think you know everything, but you're not asking them. And my mother-in-law is a really quiet, private person, so she would never let her hair down and talk about dating or anything. But when I asked her, she was so happy to talk about things like that. And when I asked her how she met her husband, which is my father-in-law, and her story was absolutely, he turned into 16 again. And I was like, she really wanted to be asked that. And she's really a quiet, private person that would never talk about anything personal. So, and it helped have the pictures. That was like this, the connection between us. Who is this? Oh, that's Lynn's twin brother. And then to say, where was this? Well, it's when we were dating. And she was just tickled about that. It was very sweet and an unexpected. It's always proper and quiet and you formal, and you don't say anything that you don't want anybody to know all this. But in that interview with the pictures, well, that was I said, was this outfit? I love this picture of you. Was it your senior pictures? No, it was my confirmation dress. So I was only 8th grade then. She wanted to talk so more than I ever seen her talk before that and since. Like the girls, my daughters never asked me about that. They don't care about the old pictures, but you care about the old pictures and you're engaging me to talk about them.
Right. So I think it's really, isn't that beautiful? Yeah. To be able to use photos to ask the questions that people want to be asked, but yet no one thinks to ask it. We just look at a picture, go, oh, that's really pretty. And we just stop there, and realizing that you're not only unfolding their story, but you're unfolding your story, especially if they're connected with you, and a new depth of appreciation for what they've gone through and what was powerful for them. And I had written down a couple notes in regards to just the power of those words, that if you can get them to speak them, it brings life back to each other and to them and their story, and it really honors their journey as their life. Witness to one another's lives is part of the journey of affirmation that you matter, that you are special. And we tend to look, oftentimes we're always looking forward into the next project, but allowing that to be a place that you're going, but use the past to propel you into that and allow others to
I also had heard women for years, maybe women older, and my mom, just they're always distressed. Like, I really want to get my photos in order. I'm finally retired. And they all said the same thing. Here's 10 years later, my photos aren't in order. My memories aren't in order. The kids will throw them away when they come and all this. And I thought, well, mine are going to be in order. I'm going to do this. And I did. I digitized. It took me years, trips back, and I would digitize them. And then I wouldn't have time when I got home, but I'd get to them eventually. and I've digitized thousands of photos. But another couple about my parents, and talking to them about these pictures, I said to Dad, you have down that your birthplace was Boone County, Nebraska, but what town? And he said, I was born in Boone County. He said, when you're born at home, all of us gave birth at home. It was that long ago. Then you're listed as what county you were born in because you were born at home. And I was like, wow, I never knew that. How cool is that? Because I kept thinking, why does he keep saying he was born in Boone County? Weren't you born in Fullerton, Nebraska? That's where you live. We were on a farm. I was born in Boone County. I mean, he's like, you're not listening. I was born in Boone County. I said, okay, I got it. When you were born at home, and I don't know about that now. They probably would list if you had a home birth, what city you were in, but they were out in the country. They didn't live in a town. They were in the country. They were part of Boone County. He was very proud of that. We're Germans, he said. We're born at home. And then same with my mom. I loved this picture of her with a hat. It was super cute. And I said, so where'd you get the hat? And she said, well, on senior skip day, they skipped school and went to the county fair, and all the girls, they only had 12 kids in their class. I don't know how many were girls, but probably 3 or 4 of them. And she said, we all bought hats, and this is the hat. So I made this page 8.5 by 11 with that picture I loved, and wrote the story of senior skip day. Bonnie Lou Cleveland Zip went on senior skip day and bought this hat at the Clay County Fair. And she is, and she went to Hayes School, 1954, graduated. And so that was a fun, so someone, my son, my grandsons, or whoever sees this will say, oh, that's grandma's mother. And they can find out a lot from that page because it says that she graduated in 1959 from a town in Iowa. And I was telling Jenny the cool thing before I read the last story, but that I'd heard this from another historian and a person that does what I do, collects family histories, the stories and the pictures. And for me, that's photojournalistic. It has to go together. There's books of so-and-so's the daughter of so-and-so, that's the daughter of, it's boring. No, there's no pictures. You can't put a face to that, but I'm doing the pictures and the genealogy and a story to go with it, told by someone in the picture that I asked them before they passed away. And then when people hear about this, they're like, I wish I would have interviewed my parent before they passed away. But what this lady said was, you never know who this project is for. You only know who it is from. This project is from Diana Lee Zip Foster. And I'm going to put that on there, created by Diana Foster. I don't know if it's my sons that will want this, that love it. I don't know if it's my grandsons, my great grandsons who never had a chance to meet me maybe, but they know who it was from, who created this beautiful project and put these stories about our family history together. And it may not be my sons that have the most interest because I care about it. I know they will want me to tell them about it, but maybe it's a grandson or a daughter-in-law that has more interest in, don't you want to know more about your family? Your mother wrote this, or your mother-in-law. So,
well, and I want to interject there too. And for some of us too, with, the way that family situations can be, but we cultivate family and they become friends and family. And they can be oftentimes more than what our family was. So, with the idea that as you're going through photos or as you're taking photography, that maybe you take a picture and maybe it means something to you in that moment, to take that time and to write just those powerful few words, because your story does matter. And like Diana said, whether it's a family member, a son or a grandson, or whether it's a friend or another friend who is really, you are family too, whether you know it or not, because the journey that you're on and that they can relate to so well, that you're that inspiration, that opportunity to say, I'm not alone in this, or I celebrate with this person, as well as we cry sometimes. So I just felt there was just a power in using photography and not waiting and giving yourself the joy of doing it. Cause I know it's brought so much joy to Diana. And I know when I wrote some family memoirs about our summer experience as a family on a lake, that same, we have this kindred thing, and it's very tempting to say, I'll do it later, but I just wanted to share with Diana, to just let you know, whether you're a professional photographer or not, but to just look at your photos and give yourself the treat of really explaining yourself or what you were feeling, because it does matter, and it's part of your history, it's part of your legacy, and it's really part of what makes us in the kingdom of God begin to build upon each other's stories, just like we read the Bible and we know that how important those stories are. And you are a member of, in the chapter in the books of Acts, your acts in your lives need to be recorded from time to time. And so give yourself that gift of being as simple as, even though it can be more complicated, but we talked about simplicity is important in life. Don't make it complicated, but step out and give. I want to know your stories, and I know more than I want to know them. Others around you will be really drawn to you, and that will be a place of not only ministry, but of remembrance, and part of you are here. That's important for us to have some touch point on this earth.
I think some of my pictures and stories I've decided would be super appropriate and welcomed to share with others. So I'm going to be picking some things that I think other women. I have a story called 59 Candles. I wrote it on my 59th birthday, the night before I was turning 60. And I'm older than that now. But I love it. And I think it wasn't particularly about anybody in my family, but it's what I was thinking about with 59 candles turning into 60 candles the next day, and how I felt about my life and what my 50s looked like and what I suspect my 60s. So that's one thing. And another thing that a lot of we photographers are really encouraging, it's a little bit different note, but I want to say it because I thought of it when she was talking, is everyone has digital pictures now, and no one is printing pictures. So if you think about the legacy that you're leaving children, which can't, and I don't mean you three ladies, but almost everybody now have 60,000 pictures on their phone or less, and they aren't printing anything. And so we are begging people to print, not everything, because you're using up, resources with paper and ink and all that, but to print some of your photos. And there are plenty of places you can print for 8 cents a photo at Walgreens or wherever, but special ones, not everything. And we worry about that. Everyone wants to buy a digital disc with all their photos. Then they come back the next 3 years and they say, I never even printed the last ones. So the legacy you're leaving visually and photographically to your children is nothing, because no one's printing anything. And so I always encourage, whether it's in a book, a digital book or something like that. But before I read my I Am Enough story, do any of you have any questions for me?
Do you have an online store where you have your cards up for sale?
I don't. I did that at the very beginning. And of course, running a website and the cost of it and having enough skill to change it all the time is brutally difficult. And it's so not rewarding. And so I'm so social that I have shows here at the studio and people come over to shop. But one of the things I want to brainstorm with Ginny before she leaves is how to engage people that are from other places that might want to see my cards, because they're like, well, I've heard her speak. I bet her cards are really cool and the sayings are neat and all that. So you would be able to connect with me, and I'd be happy to give you my email before we hang up also. But I love that question because you have interest in what I've just said and all that. But I could definitely, what I've done a little bit that could be a fun thing for you to do if you emailed me, is I can email you the link to a bunch of my folders on Pinterest where you could see my work and my cards, and you could say, oh my gosh, could I get a set of these cards? I love these. But it's nice to have Pinterest because free, number one, and it's very easy to make a folder on there. And I have a lot of things on there. But right now I do not sell online, but I could definitely have a phone chat or an email chat and show you how you could look at, especially sometimes people say the cards I'm looking for are sympathy cards or birthday cards. And then I
Mhm.
could get a way that you could see some of my birthday cards and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I've
Any-
always been a person who likes to pick out a card for somebody that has meaning for what's going
Yes,
on at the moment. And
yes.
I've noticed that more and more of those kind of cards they're not really out there anymore where you can go find them
I
easily.
agree. I
It's like
agree.
dyed art with all this internet stuff.
Yeah. And they don't say the meaning. All my cards are blank inside. So you write your own message, but they all have a message on the front, like thinking of you, or you've been on my mind, or things that, and people come to me because they're like, I don't want to buy the Hallmark ones. First of all, I've bought all the Hallmark ones and my friends have all seen those. I want a unique card by a local artist that is really cool, that has photography on the front. So thank you for asking that. And like I
Sure.
said, before I hang up, I'll give you my email address and I'd be happy to answer an email and chat.
Okay, cool.
So I do
Love
have
to
a
chat with you.
question.
All right.
Um, so when you have your history of photos, like you said, on different phones, because even as you change phones or on
Right.
a computer, how, or is there a way that you then could found a way to access them and bring them together? Because just that feels like an overwhelming task.
It's way overwhelming. And I didn't know hardly any of that when I got started as well. You'll laugh at one of the things I'm going to say. One of the things I tell every client I have, and a week ago, but I'm pretty techie for a 66-year-old, for all the reasons that I said before. So I have learned some of that, but I under 25 and ask them to help you. If you have someone that would, sometimes people get fussy about helping people, and especially on techie, oh, grandma's asking again, mom's asking again, but that can be very helpful. And sometimes some of us have even a little bit of money to pay them and say, I really would like some help. And I know that takes your time. Would you come help me get my pictures off my phone to my computer or to my iPad? But there are also a lot of, online things that can show you by Googling how to get pictures from an iPhone to your computer. And some of us are kind of get enough bravery to try it and see if you can get it to work. But you're right, you have pictures on cameras, you have pictures on phones, you have pictures on iPads. Maybe your iPad isn't the same make as your phone, because if you have Apples or Samsung, and those have the other, but typically you want them a lot of times on your computer, because that's how you could make the digital books online through Shutterfly or those kinds of things. And you need them off your phone. Most of us are old and we can't see tiny stuff on these iPhones or the whatever phone company you have. So it's a really good question. And it's really frustrating because you'd like to do something with them and print them, but I hate working on just the small little surface of my phone. I really do. I work on my iPad or my desktop.
You know what
And I'm lucky enough to have both. What
I do is I pull up my picture and I send it to my email. And
Yep.
it's very time consuming, but I do that because then I can open the email and download it onto my computer.
Right. So
But
I
it takes
email
forever.
stuff. I do
don't
too.
know
I
if it's
email
away.
stuff from my phone to the computer, but also you might check into a free cloud sharing. Like I use Dropbox,
Oh, okay.
and it's free. And you can upload them to Dropbox and then go to your other computer or your iPad, whatever you're using other than your phone, and then download them from Dropbox. And that is easier than it looks. And again, ask somebody. All those kids know how to do all that, whether they're your kids, a kid you could hire, anybody under 25. Ask them
Right.
and give them a reason that they'd want to help you. Food is really good. Money is really good. And it doesn't even have to be a lot of money. Can I make you dinner? Can I give you a gift certificate to help me do this? And once they show you and you take notes and stuff, you'd be able to do it. But try one of the cloud sharing. There's more than Dropbox. I just am really fond of Dropbox. I send the photos that I take of clients via Dropbox to them and then they download them. But that's a really easy way to get them from your phone to the Dropbox and your Dropbox to your regular computer. Any other questions? All right. Well, I'll read my I Am Enough. I Am Enough kind of concept came about maybe at least 10 years ago, of women just saying, I'm enough. I don't have to feel inferior to anybody else. I don't have to, and I'm not a super big women's libber that I, won't listen to anything. And I think I'm, whatever, but just to feel good about yourself and to say, I am enough. I'm not weak and I'm not, I'm powerful and I can feel good about myself and have a good feeling. So a lot of people were writing their I am enough stories. So I thought you might like to hear my short I am enough story. So the title is I Am Enough. There is a long trip. I come from a really big family. I think I said that before, but maybe Deborah wasn't on. 9 people, 7 kids. So there's a long tradition of me loving all things old. As the oldest of 7, I was born old. Others needed me to be old. Who depends on me? Sometimes and some days it seemed like too many. These defining moments called for fancy footwork. Unexpected challenges came perfectly packaged. Somehow I became nimble. Giving a voice to those who had no voice became my career. It carried with it a whole lot of moments, loving the sometimes unlovable. Decades of teaching children with special needs begged for bravery I didn't know I had. A half a century of life has presented these realities. So I think I wrote that around 50. The business of happiness is very important business. There's no day like today. The powerful influence of music is undeniable. Sometimes imperfect moments are indeed perfect. Always find time for fun. The art of telling stories with images is my passion. Creating everyday life in beautiful and unexpected ways drives my art. People I've met and people I love have so many stories to tell, oodles and oodles of stories. My inspiration comes from being awake enough to recognize a compelling story just waiting to be told. Simple truth, I'm learning to be enough. Every day I set out to adorn everyday things, harness happiness, and become a better me. What do I wish I had more of? Not a thing. I'm embracing a life that matters. So when I'm gone, others will remember me for what I taught, what I built, and what I gave. Just me, a little girl with big dreams.
Beautiful.
Yay.
Thank you.
I want to thank Diana for being here. And I hope maybe there was a gold nugget for you in there to be inspired. And I know all of us are on a journey. Each one of you has a beautiful story with black threads and red threads and pink threads and yellow, and that tapestry will continue to be developed, especially when you receive what she spoke at the end, that you are enough. In fact, if you didn't go through what you went through, you probably would be missing pieces that are going to be key to the dreams and the next season that God has for you. And my passion is always to inspire all of us, and that really is the journey that we're on now is probably our most important one that we've been on, because of what Diana said, the business of happiness, because it is our choice to take those threads and weave them into our story, and to know that I am enough. So what I'd really love for you all to take some time to do is write down I am enough. And over this next period of time, when you look at it, remember the things that you have been through, and realize that because of what you've been through and what you're going to be stepping into, that you can do it. Like Diana, she didn't know a lot of things. She took classes. She had friends around her.
I asked people under 25.
For help. And we're here for each other too, to ask for help and support. And this is part of why I really wanted to take this opportunity. And I will be leaving Kansas City pretty soon.
Mhm.
So, we don't take for granted these moments that we have together, each and every one of you that I've got to see more recently. Deborah is a very, very new friend, and I'm so excited that I get to be a part of her story. Barb and I have been to Bible college together and continue our journeys together, and Terry since high school, and reconnecting that, if we can inspire one another by just walking it out and knowing that you are enough,
Mhm.
and that what's ahead of you is bigger than because you choose to be brave. That's another
Mhm.
piece.
Mhm.
And I'm just honored to know you, honored to know Diana, and I'm thrilled that you came on today so that we could.
And I want to thank you too. I do, if you want my email and you have a piece of paper, I'll give it to you. I'm happy to answer email and connect with new friends. I love to get new friends. It's my first name, Diana, Diana, then at the @ the THE, this is my business, the Studio 56. So THE Studio, STUDIO 56.com. Diana at thestudio56.com. So everybody always asks me, why'd you name your business that? I was born in 1956, and I don't care if anybody knows how old I am. So I have the Studio 56. But I do want to thank you, even though we need to go here. But it was great to meet you, and thanks for listening to a little bit about me and my project.
All righty.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to quickly introduce my friend Kat. This is like divine appointment that she was supposed to be in on this today. So I just want to say that. So,
Hi.
Hi, Kat. We can't
Kat.
see you. We trust that you're there.
That's
I
right.
see your hand.
That's
Yeah.
great.
see your
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
And like I said, feel free to email me. I'll respond and chit chat about whatever. All right.
Bye.
Thank you, Judy. Thank
Bye.
you, Diane. Nice to meet you, Barb and
Bye.
Terry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Nice to meet everybody.
Thank you.
Ah.